This is a special edition of the Mike Gallagher Show, Coronavirus in America.
We're using the full power of the federal government to defeat the virus, and that's what we've been doing.
For a while, life is not going to be the way it used to be in the United States.
As we face this national emergency pandemic, now's the time for knowledge and clarity. And this is the place to get it.
We're going into a full crisis footing. This is a wartime dynamic. We have to think about helping each other in different ways.
The president made very decisive decisions quickly.
2020 is definitely going to be one for the history books. And as we take it all in, we know that we'll get through this together. We're America. And now, here's Mike.
I keep thinking of the time when we are going to embrace and rejoice in life returning to normal. It's not that far away. It's not. I know it's not. It's a matter of weeks, maybe months, but it's not going to be that far away. When you think of big life events that you've experienced, nothing is over in 24 hours. I love what Brett Baer says all the time. As the sun gets ready to set, we are one day closer to putting this all behind us. I'm starting the hour with gratefulness and appreciation for a listener who sent me a text. I listen every day, Mike. I got the $1,200 stimulus money in my bank account today. I'm a frugal retiree on a fixed income. I can live without this stimulus money, so I'm looking for something local to donate to. I'm thinking food banks. Keep up the good work. That's the spirit of the United States of America. That's what permeates throughout the land. There's a lot of negative. There's a lot of bad news. There's a lot of angst and challenge and conflict. That text symbolizes and embodies the spirit of America. Somebody who could very easily take $1,200 and use it for themselves, I can tell they're not living extravagantly, and they want to take that $1,200 and pay it forward. It's what you did last month when you came through and we raised, what was it, $100,000 for starving children all over the world in the middle of this thing. That's what you did. That's what Americans do. Now, we have to have our eyes wide open. There's a lot of news today. There's a lot of breaking news. I noticed I was getting census notices, and I'm thinking, man, right now with all that I think I'm working harder from home than I've ever worked before, like many of us are doing. The Census Bureau is now seeking a delay on taking the census. That's got to be upside down. And, as you fill out the census, you're probably getting bombarded with mailings like I am, thinking they're going to come take you away in handcuffs if you don't fill out the census. And I'm just paranoid enough about the government in general that I'm not really thrilled about giving the government any more information than I'm supposed to. But I know it's the law. You're supposed to do it. You have to do it. They make all kinds of decisions based on the census, but now the Census Bureau is asking Congress to delay the deadline for the 2020 census by 120 days due to this coronavirus crisis. That's something we need to keep our eye on. Yesterday, the president announcing he's going to halt funding for the World Health Organization. Fascinating announcement that, of course, sent the Trump-hating media into fainting spells and histrionics. They all had to get out their brown paper bags and start breathing into it. They were all hyperventilating. Here's the president's announcement yesterday from the Rose Garden of the White House, cut number 1 from C-SPAN in Grabian.
Today, I'm instructing my administration to halt funding of the World Health Organization while a review is conducted to assess the World Health Organization's role in severely mismanaging and covering up the spread of the coronavirus.
You know, there is not been much doubt, unless, of course, you're part of the Trump-hating media, but there has not been a whole lot of doubt about the horrible, horrible performance of the World Health Organization. And as Gordon Chang, who is so good on these matters, wrote at Fox News, the president was completely correct in stopping funding, which was scheduled to get $893 million from the U.S. in the current 2-year funding period. He says it's a step needed to spark meaningful reform of this United Nations organization and the global health architecture. So many mistakes. as Gordon Chang points out, the World Health Organization, in case you're going to buy the lies that people now are going to be in trouble because of we're not funding the World Health Organization. Let's go through a list of what the World Health Organization actually did. They helped spread this coronavirus in 4 key principal ways. First, in public, the WHO disseminated China's lie, China's false narrative that the virus was not transmissible person to person. Now, they knew or should have known that the Chinese government wasn't telling the truth. Among other things, Taiwan on December 31st told the UN body it suspected the pathogen was contagious in this fashion, and WHO professionals also knew that to be the case. A World Health Organization doctor named Maria Van Kerkhove said at a press briefing that right from the start, she thought the coronavirus was human to human. But senior WHO leadership disregarded the evidence. Second, the WHO in its public statements supported the Chinese government's attempt to prevent the imposition of travel bans and quarantines on travelers from China. It was these travelers who turned an epidemic in central China into a global pandemic. Millions of infected people from China left and infected the world. Third, the WHO publicly backed the reliability of Beijing's statistics, Gordon Chang writes. China's substantial undercounting of its coronavirus cases and deaths lulled the U.S. into not taking precautions it would have otherwise taken. And finally, the WHO unreasonably delayed declaring the coronavirus epidemic a public health emergency of international concern until January 30th. President Trump pointed out yesterday that they failed in their basic duty and they must be held accountable. It's good news. Incidentally, I saw a lot of comments from people who said defunding the World Health Organization, that's part of the reason we hired Donald Trump. That's part of the reason that he was elected, to deal with these unfair, inequitable deals where we are paying the lion's share of taxpayer dollars to an organization that is inept and an organization that was part of the China lie. And the China lie, we're going to have time to have a lot of introspection and a lot of review and investigations over the role that China played in this nightmare here in the United States. There's a couple of other nightmares brewing that I want to tackle with you, and something we have to be so important, so focused on. When do you hear the story out of Tampa, near where I'm sitting right now in my condo here in my kitchen, as we welcome you back to the ReliefFactor.com studios on this Wednesday edition? Apparently, a sickening story that is going to get your attention, I'm sure. They are releasing inmates around the country in an effort to slow the coronavirus. Now, I'm a simple guy. I'm just a big mouth on the radio. I'm not following the logic that you're behind bars for a crime. People are getting coronavirus on the outside and the inside of the slammer. So in order to help slow the spread of COVID-19, we're letting dangerous people out of jails, presumably to infect people on the outside. I don't want anybody infected. I don't want anybody sick. I don't want prison inmates infected or sick. I don't want people who are not in prison sick. The logic of freeing inmates, including, incidentally, Michael Avenatti, that sleazy lawyer, the Stormy Daniels lawyer who's been in jail, convicted on a bunch of crimes, they let him out. They also let out a guy named Joseph Edwards Williams from the Hillsborough County Jail in Tampa. Know what he did? He was released from custody at 8:02 in the morning on Thursday, March the 19th. That was as a result of an administrative order aimed at slowing the spread of COVID-19 in the county jails. So they let him out on the 19th. You know what they say he did on the 20th? He killed a man. He killed a man. they released a prisoner from the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Department and the jail, and the day after he was released, they say he went and shot and killed a man. That's a great plan, isn't it? Let the criminals out of jails to slow the spread of COVID-19. That's the way they handle this, and it's apparently happening all over the country. Wow. You could kind of knock me over with a feather over this story. What do you think? Should there be some heads rolling over this? Should perhaps we review the policy of letting dangerous inmates out because of COVID-19? What, you're giving them a get out of jail free card because of COVID-19? Somebody's got to help connect some dots for me here, because I'm at a loss.